All right, well, it is 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Switch my camera here so you can see my paper. Okay. Any questions anybody has on the homework currently? All right. Then let's do a little bit of review from the week. So we started out with the idea of what is a natural number? And we talked about how a natural number begins with the number 1, and then it adds a number 1 to itself, so on and so forth until infinity. The whole number, denoted by W, includes all of the natural numbers, but begins with the number 0. Integers, sorry, integers are Z. Thought that was wrong. So integers we're going to denote with the letter Z. Integers include all of the whole numbers, and then the opposite of all of the natural numbers. So this would be like -3, -2, -1, comma, 0, and then 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And then we talked about rational numbers. So we denoted that with the letter Q. Rational numbers are any number that we can make as the ratio of two integers. So, and in fact, any natural number can be represented as a ratio of two integers. For example, take the number 3. We can do 3 over 1. That's equal to 3. So 3 not only is a natural number and a whole number, but it is also a rational number. And we contrasted that with what we called irrational, or basically any number that is not rational. So what would numbers like this be? This would be like the square root of 2, the number pi. You haven't learned it yet, but there's a number called e. The square root of any prime number will be irrational. And basically it's it cannot be represented as the ratio of two integers. Sometimes an irrational number is wrongly identified as a never-ending decimal, and that doesn't work because the rational number 1/3 is a never-ending decimal. It's 3 repeating forever and ever. So just because a number, a decimal repeats itself forever does not necessarily make it irrational. An irrational number is simply defined as a number that cannot be represented by the ratio of two integers. All right, then we talked about real numbers, and real numbers incorporate all of them. So they contain the natural, the whole, the integer, the rational, the irrational, so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you a little graph that I like to use when looking at these. I find it kind of helpful for myself. So the natural numbers, and I make a little circle. This starts with 1, 2, 3, goes on forever. And then I do concentric circles. So then the whole numbers, they include all of the natural numbers, but whole has 0. And 0 is not a natural number, but it is within the realm of whole. Then you have the integers. And the integers would include numbers like -12, negative whatever, all the way to 0. And then they would include the whole numbers, which includes the natural numbers. And then you would have the rational numbers. The rational numbers include, all right, they include all of the integers, all of the whole numbers, and all of the natural numbers, but they also include all numbers that are not integer, whole, and natural, but can be represented by the ratio of two integers. So 7/8, 4/5. All of these types of numbers, they're not integers, they're not whole, and they're not natural. But they can be, but they are rational. So they're within the rational realm. And every single integer is also rational because no matter what number, let's say I have -100, I can represent that also as a rational number, -100/1. All right, irrational numbers are over here because irrational numbers do not contain the natural, the whole, the integer, or the rational. Why? Because remember, irrational numbers are defined as not rational. Okay, if they're not rational, and this is your rational numbers include all of these. So that means your irrational numbers cannot include these. So here we would have numbers like the square root of 2, the number pi, I told you about e, really the square root of any prime number. Those are irrational numbers. And then real numbers include both. Real numbers include the irrational numbers, but they also include all the rational numbers. So this is one diagram that I found helpful. There's another one, and let me know if you need, I'm going to switch pages. Let me know if you need me to put that back up. Another really helpful diagram is you start up here with real, and real are composed of irrational and rational, and under rational, there are integer, and under integer are whole, and under whole are natural. So here, this kind of shows you too that every natural number is real, every whole number is real, every irrational number is real, but it kind of shows you that any integer is rational, any natural is rational, all rationals are real, all irrationals are real, no whole number is irrational. It kind of shows you the relationships a little bit better there. So that's also a really helpful tool for that. And in Algebra 2, when we get to that, you'll learn about numbers that are not in the real category. All right, so those are just kind of a review of what we did the first day with real numbers. All right, then we got on to operations, and you guys are pretty familiar with operations: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And we just need to be familiar with the way that it is communicated. So I'm going to write down some words here. In English, we use the word sum, difference. Sometimes we use the word minus. For the plus sign, we can use plus. We can use add. Here we can say subtraction. Here, add or even addition. All right, here we have product. A lot of times is a word used with multiplication. Multiplication can also be a dot, right? We talked about the different ways to look at two numbers being multiplied. So 2 times 3 can look like 2.3. It can also look like 2 with 3 in parentheses. You could put the 2 in parentheses and have the 3. All of those are saying the same thing, 2 times 3. All of them are 6. It's just different ways of writing the same thing. All right. We use words like multiply, product, and then for division, a lot of times you'll see the word quotient. Okay, the quotient of 8 and 4. What does that mean? Well, that means 8 divided by 4. And I can rewrite that as 8 over 4, right? That line right there in a fraction means 8 divided by 4. That line is called a vinculum. It won't be anything that you'll be tested on as far as knowing the words, but that vinculum plays a big role because if we have 3 plus 5, a line, and underneath it 4, this line implies parentheses on top and bottom. All right. Any questions on the operations? All right. We talked about the definition of subtraction, and this we'll get into in a few weeks when we look at the commutative property of addition. But when you have A plus a negative B, that's the definition of subtraction. That's what we mean by A minus B. And then when you have A plus A plus A, that's what we mean by A times 3. Okay, and if you have A times A times A, that means we have A to the third power. All right. A well, let me not get into that. So let's just stick with these three right here. So this you'll realize later is the definition of subtraction that comes in handy well, but we see here that multiplication is really just an efficient way of adding the same number, right? We talked about the first number being the number of things, and the second number being the number of groups. So A things times 3 groups. All right, now here, this is a little different. We're doing A things multiplied A times multiplied A times. And so when we do that, we are actually using an exponent. And we talked about in an exponent, this top number, that's actually called your exponent. The number here that is being multiplied out however many times, that's called your base. And then the whole thing, A to the third power, that's called your power. Now, I know right now you're thinking, I don't really need to know any of this. I just need to get the homework done and pass the quiz. But understanding the language, I'm going to go over it pretty regularly because that will help you whenever we get into more complicated math. So, all right. Then from here, we moved on to order of operations. And we talked about how order of operations is parentheses first, exponent second, and then multiply, divide left to right, and then add, subtract left to right. So the best way to explain this, obviously, is just to kind of do some problems. So let's do some warm up together. What I'll have you do on your page is I'm going to write out some problems. I'm going to write out one. You guys do it on your own. And then after you're done, or I'll give you just a few seconds to do it on your own. And then I'll give you what the answer is. All right, so go ahead and work that out on your own. All right, so here we have addition and multiplication, means we do the multiplication first. And the answer that you should have got was 28. All right, let's do another one. Let's do 3 plus 7 plus 10. All right, this one only has addition, so we just do it left to right. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. All right. Next, let's do 10 minus the quantity of 5 minus 3 plus 5. Give you for a few seconds to work that out. All right, so here we have parentheses, which means I do everything inside the parentheses first. we have addition and subtraction. And if you remember that I write the M and the D and the A and the S next to each other, and the reason I do that is because we do addition and subtraction left to right. So here, even though I have subtraction first and then addition, I don't do the addition first, I do the subtraction first because I do those left to right. So within here, I have a 5 minus 3. That's going to give me a 2, then a plus 5. 5 plus 2 is going to give me 7. Now that I'm down to one number, I don't need my parentheses. 10 minus 7, that is going to give me 3. And go ahead and unmute yourself and speak up if you want me to rework a problem. No problem. I'm going to start giving you a little bit more complicated ones here as we go. All right, so we're going to have 10 plus 16 over 9 minus 1. Go ahead and take your time. All right. This is going to be, first thing we're going to do, this vinculum here is going to act as parentheses on the top and bottom. So we do parentheses first. So we'll have 10 plus. Since there's only one number in the numerator, we can drop those parentheses. So 9 minus 1 begins as the first thing that I do. That's 8. And then 16 divided by 8 will be next because I have addition and I have addition and division. So this ends up being 10 plus 2. And that gives me 12. All right. Next one is going to be 20 minus 1 minus 2 squared over 3. All right, so this vinculum here means that I have parentheses on top and bottom. I only have a single number down here, so I don't need the parentheses there. So let's focus inside these parentheses here. I have 20 minus 1 minus 2 squared. The 2 squared is what I need to do first. That's 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So I have 20 minus 1 minus 4. Now I have subtraction and then I have division. So I need to do, now this is where it gets kind of crazy. I need to do division first, right? Well, remember, this is a vinculum. So that means parentheses on top. So I do what's inside the parentheses first, which is 20 minus 1 minus 4. I can do that left to right. So 20 minus 1 is 19. Then I have 19 minus 4, that's 15. I'm down to one number, so I can drop the parentheses. And I have 15 divided by 3, that is 5. All right, so now that we've warmed up a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a problem. And what I'd like you to do is when you finish solving it, go ahead and chat the response to me whenever you have the answer. Just in the chat, send it to me. You can just do it personally. You don't have to let everybody else know. You can direct message me, okay? Okay, I've got 1, got 2. I just got 3. All right, waiting for a few more. Whenever you have it, go ahead and message me. All right, let me go ahead and work this one. Okay, so we've got 15 times 2. That's going to be first. Why? Because of this vinculum, it puts parentheses on top and bottom. 15 times 2, that is 30. So 30 over 3 minus 5. 30 divided by 3 is 10. And 10 minus 5 is 5. All right. You guys ready for your next one? Let's do quantity of 4 plus 10 times the quantity of 9 minus quantity of 1 plus 5, and quantity, plus 3. You have the answer. Go ahead and message me. All right. Got 1. Good job. That was quick. Good. Got another one. All right, let me go ahead and work this one as well. So here we have parentheses. Now, this is one of those that I like to do boxes. So I will draw boxes around that quantity there because those parentheses encompass the 4 plus 10. And then sometimes I do different colors too, just to kind of keep everything straight. So I have a box here, okay, for these outer ones. And then on the inside, I've got another box. All right, the 1 plus 5 right here. So if I just show the colors here, which might be kind of helpful, I've got green here, and then of course I've got my purple here, and then my pink in here, and then I've got this plus 3. All right, this looks a little bit simpler, right? This looks a little hairy. I got a lot of parentheses. I'm not sure what's going on. Break it down for yourself like this. Do what's inside the boxes first, and you start with the most inner inside box, which is this pink one right here. So what is that? Well, that's 1 plus 5. So now I can fill that in. Okay, that's a 6. Good. All right, what goes in this box here? Well, that's a 4 plus 10. So I can make that a 14. Now what do I do here with this box? Well, that's going to be a 9 minus 6. So we can go ahead and write just 9 minus 6 like that. So I've got a 14. All right. I'm dropping the parentheses because that's just one number. Now I've got a 9 minus 6, which that's going to give me a 3. That's down to one number. Now I can drop that parentheses and I have a plus 3. All right, so what do I do? Do I add these numbers, subtract these numbers? I don't have any operation. Well, remember, this was parentheses. So we can leave the parentheses if we really wanted to. But anytime you have parentheses next to parentheses, if we remember back what we talked about earlier, anytime you have parentheses next to each other, which I didn't make that one here, did I? But a 2 times a 3, that's multiplication. So we're dealing with multiplication. So 14 times 3 plus 3, right? So 14 times 3, if I have 3 14s, that's 4, 8, 12. So I've got my 2, and then I've got 3 10s. It's going to be 32, plus another 10 from the 12. That's going to give me 42. So 14 times 3 is 42. So then I'm left with 42 plus 3, and that gives me 45. All right. Now, I know I took a lot of time on that. Some of you are already experts at this, but I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page. All right, here's your next one. Message me when you think you've got the answer. All right, I've got one person. That's correct. Got another one. That's correct. The answer to this one is 7. All right. So remember that the big vinculum means that we have parentheses on bottom and parentheses on top. The top is pretty easy. That's 7 times 5. So I can go ahead and write that as 35. And then in the bottom, this whole thing is in parentheses. And have 8 minus the parentheses of 10 minus 6 minus 1. So you can do the box thing again that I showed you. That's really helpful. But we're going to deal with the innermost parentheses, which is this. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So we have 35 over 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. And 35 divided by 5 is 7. Oh, one of you is sending it to the wrong Castro. That is fine. My wife is the admin for the class, so that is totally fine. That's her computer. All right. Okay, what I'd like to do now, let's step up the complexity a little bit. And we'll do this. 10 plus 6 plus 8 in parentheses times 5 minus 12 over 8 minus 2 in parentheses. All right, a lot going on there. And when you think you have the answer, go ahead and message me. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. I'm going to write the number down here in a few minutes. I'm going to give you some time. This one's a little hairy. When it's time, I will write the answer. All right, so far I have 1, 2, 3, 4 answers, but nobody has the right answer yet. Give you guys a little bit more time. Let me make sure I wrote that down correctly. All right, so just to make sure you guys, my writing was clear, this is 10 plus the quantity of 6 plus 8 times the quantity of 5 minus 12 over the quantity 8 minus 2. Right answer is 52. 52. Oh, one of you got it right. Very good. Two of you. Okay. All right. For those of you that got it wrong, go ahead and rework it. We're going to stay on this one for a little bit longer. If you got it wrong, that's okay. No one knows who got it right. No one knows who got it wrong. Don't feel embarrassed. Go ahead and rework it. See if you get to 52. Now that you know what the answer needs to be. Okay. A couple of you messaged through that you reworked it, got the right answer. Good. We'll give a few minutes to everybody else. All right, so I'm going to step through this. Okay, so we've got quantity here. We got parentheses here. So if we remember our order of operations, a couple of you messaged in that you did the order of operations in the wrong order. So sometimes it might help just to go ahead and put the PEMDAS. When I was in 6th grade, my teacher taught me, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I remember that probably because it's dumb, but whatever you got to use, remember it's not mathematical in nature. This order was simply, um, it's what's called a convention. It's something that a bunch of mathematicians got together and says, hey, we all have to be doing it in the same order. Let's make this the order that we do it. And so it's not intuitive necessarily. You're not going to look at this and know what to do first. So it's something that has to be practiced and it's something that kind of has to be memorized. So all right, I've got parentheses here and parentheses here. So I can do inside the parentheses anything I need to do. So here I'm going to have 10 plus, and I'm going to go ahead and add that 8 and the 6, and that's going to give me 14. Then I'm going to have here 5 minus 12 over 8 minus 2. All right, I'm gonna push this up a little bit so you guys can see. Next, I have parentheses again. Inside, I have 5 minus, and then I have dividing. But remember that this line, this vinculum, implies parentheses, top and bottom. Top, I only have one number, so I don't necessarily need to do any operation there. So my next operation to do is down here because these are parentheses. That's what's implied by that vinculum. So the 8 minus 2 gives me a 6. All right. Now I still have parentheses. Now I have subtraction and division. My division is what I need to do next. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, I'm still in my parentheses here. 5 minus 2 is 3. So I have 10 plus 14 times 3. All right, 14 times 3, which I think we literally did that on the last one. The 4 times 3 gives me a 12. 3 tens gives me 30. That 12 gets me an extra 10. So I have 42. So I have 10 plus 42. Whoops, 42. And then 10 plus 42, that's where I get my 52. So for anybody that needs to write all that down, go ahead and do that. And I'm going to give you another one. We'll do one about the same level of difficulty. Okay, we're going to do 22 plus 8 times 2 minus quantity 9 minus 2 plus 3 all over 7 minus 3. 22 plus 8 times 2 minus the quantity 9 minus 2 plus 3, all of that over 7 minus 3. You can message me the answer, but I'm not going to reveal the answer for a little bit. But if you think you have it, you can throw it in the notes. All right, I've got one answer so far. I'll let the rest of you kind of finish up. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that have responded. Whoops. Hold on. I don't know where that came from. Sorry, guys. All right. So far, out of everybody that's submitted an answer, I've only got one person with the right answer. That's interesting. I have 3 of you. There's 3 of you on here that all gave me 12. That is incorrect, but you all landed at that. So that's interesting. The correct answer that you're looking for is 7. So those of you that got 12, go ahead and rework it. See if you can see where you went wrong. And when you reworked it and get the right answer, let me know. Because I want to make sure you get a little practice in, and then I'll jump in here and finish solving this one for you. All right, a couple of you are stuck, so let me go ahead and jump in here and solve it. Okay, so remember this vinculum means parentheses on the bottom and parentheses on the top. Now the bottom, we can go ahead and solve that. That's just going to be a 7 minus 3. That's going to give me 4, excuse me. So I have 22 plus 8 times 2 minus the quantity, 9 minus 2 plus 3, and quantity, all over 4. Okay. Now I've got this parenthesis right here. So remember our order of operations. So here we're going to do 9 minus 2 plus 3 inside the parentheses. Even though we have subtraction first, we're going to go ahead and do that first because addition and subtraction is left to right. So 9 minus 2 is 7. 22 plus 8 times 2 minus 7 plus 3 all over 4. All right, then inside my parentheses here, what I'm left with is 7 plus 3, which is 10. So 22 plus 8 times 2 minus 10 all over 4. All right, so this vinculum still means that I have parentheses up here, so I'm only working up here because I'm still inside parentheses. I don't have any exponents, but I do have two things being multiplied. I also have addition and subtraction, but I need to do multiplication before any addition or subtraction. So I'm going to multiply the 8 times 2, and that's going to give me 16. So I'm going to have 22 plus 16 minus 10 over 4. All right, now I have addition and subtraction. So my addition and subtraction, I simply do left to right because that's how I do my addition and subtraction. So here we have 22 plus 16. Let's see, the 6 and the 2 will give me an 8. 1 and the 2 will give me 3, so that's 38. So 38 minus 10 over 4. Then I still have the vinculum, so I'm still doing the things inside my parentheses on the top. So 38 minus 10 is 28. Down to one number, 28 over 4. That equals 7. Now I want you to look back. Everybody, I think one of you got it right on the first try. But most of you made an error or two in this. So this is what I want you to do. You've got it written down. You've worked it, right? All we're doing is basic stuff, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. We're not doing anything complicated. So notice how much practice we need just with those basic math concepts. Okay, so I want you to go back through how you did what you did and identify your mistakes. There's already been two of you that have messaged me that said, hey, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do that, or I did this before I was supposed to do that. That is really good. Identify where you went wrong. because you need to be able to follow the logic from start to finish. Okay? And it needs to make sense to you. Or else, as we move into algebra, where these numbers start being replaced by variables, it's gonna add a little bit of complexity, and we need to make sure that we've mastered at this level. Very good. All right, we've got time for one more, so let's do one more complicated one. We're going to do 21 plus 24 divided by 9 plus 4 minus the quantity 10 minus 6 and quantity multiplied by 14 over 2. There you go. And when you have an answer, feel free to message me. I will reveal the answer here in a few minutes. JT iPad 2, can you message me your name? I'm taking roll. Just want to make sure I count you present. Thank you. Okay, everybody that messaged me got it right. This is 35. Good job. Great work. All right. Let me work this one out and then we'll be done. All right, so here, this vinculum means we have parentheses on top and bottom. And notice here, we're multiplying by another something with the vinculum. Now, here, we can treat this as two fractions, okay, multiplied by two fractions, right? So this 2, you can just you can just continue this line, throw a dot there, 14 times this, 2 times this. You can do it that way. You can also treat this as an independent number over here being multiplied by all of this. Either way is valid. You'll land at the same answer either way. So what I'm going to do is just do what's in the parentheses here. 24 plus 21. The 4 and the 1 give me 5. 2 and 2 give me 40. So I've got a 45 there. on the top. Underneath here, I've got 9 plus 4 minus 10 minus 6 is 4. And then here I'm multiplying by 14 divided by 2. All right. So 9 plus 4 minus 4. Anytime I have a plus 4 minus 4, I can actually just get rid of that. But obviously I'm doing this in the correct, I need to do this in the correct order, which is left to right. But 9 plus 4 is going to give me 13. Minus 4 is going to give me 9 again. So this is going to give me 45 over 9 times 14 over 2. All right, now I have multiplication division left to right. We've done our parentheses. We didn't have exponents. Now we're doing multiply, divide left to right. So first thing we're going to do is 45 divided by 9. And that's going to give me 5. And then multiply by 14 divided by 2, that's 7. 5 times 7, 35. Good work, everybody. Tomorrow morning, I will send the quiz out. That'll be your first quiz. Remember to have your parent or somebody proctor that for you. They need to take a picture. They need to be the ones to email me. If you get 100%, you're going to move on. If you don't, I'll send you another quiz, and we'll keep doing that until you get 100. You guys have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.